8,000 men stood staring down the thunder of 80,000. By every rule of war, they should have vanished before sunset. Yet what happened in the Albanian mountains on September 2nd, 1457 would send shockwaves from Constantinople to Rome and force every strategist for the next 5 centuries to rewrite the meaning of impossible. Imagine it. 30,000 Ottoman soldiers dead in one day, not after a long siege, not after a grinding campaign, but in 6 hours, 6 hours in which the fate of Christian Europe balanced on a single ambush so unbelievable that modern military academies still shake their heads at the math. By the end of this story, you'll understand exactly how the greatest military upset of the medieval era happened minute by minute, and why the world still studies this battle like sacred scripture. And before we go deeper, hit the like button and subscribe, because on Sleeping Historian, we bring forgotten battles back to life. Battles where courage flips empires upside down and history tilts in a single heartbeat. Trust me, you don't want to miss the legends hiding in plain sight. Now let's go back to the moment when the Ottoman Empire looked unstoppable. The year is 1453. Constantinople, once the crown of the Christian East, has fallen. Sultan Mehmed II is riding a wave of victories that stretch from Anatolia to the Balkans. Kingdom after kingdom collapses beneath his armies. Serbia is gone. The Byzantine Empire erased. Large pieces of Hungary swallowed. Everywhere you look, the Ottoman military machine is steamrolling through Europe with elite janissaries, terrifying cannons, and a reservoir of manpower that seems endless. But in the rugged mountains of Albania stands one man who refuses to kneel, Gjergj Kastrioti, known to the world as Skanderbeg. A man raised inside the Ottoman court, trained by their finest officers, groomed to become one of their own. He knows their battle doctrines, their rhythms, their blind spots. He speaks their language and understands their heartbeat. And in 1443, he turned every bit of that knowledge against them. For 14 exhausting years, Skanderbeg has been a thorn too sharp for the Ottomans to pull out. He united the Albanian clans under the League of Legia, forging unity where there had never been any. From his mountain fortresses, he has shattered invasion after invasion. European kings call him a miracle. The Ottomans call him the athlete of Christ. But even miracles run into nightmares. And Skanderbeg's nightmare is coming from inside his own bloodline. Because the Ottomans have a secret weapon this time, Skanderbeg's nephew, Hamza Kastrioti, a man who chose empire over family, who converted to Islam, pledged loyalty to the Sultan, and now marches at the front of an Ottoman army sent to crush the very land he was born in. He knows every trail, every water source, every ambush position his uncle might use, and he plans to deliver Albania to the Sultan on a silver platter. Albania isn't just a mountain kingdom. It is the gate to Europe. If it falls, the road to Rome lies wide open. Venice shivers. The Pope prays. The stakes could not be higher. This isn't just war. This is a continental fault line ready to crack. The Ottoman war machine mobilizes. Sources differ, but most record 80,000 soldiers. Some say 40,000. But even the lowest numbers put them at 4 times Skanderbeg's size. Whatever the true count, they are armed with the best gear, backed by endless supplies, and led by an insider who knows Albanian terrain better than any map. This isn't David versus Goliath. This is David versus Goliath and Goliath's entire extended family, while David's cousin points out where David hides his sling. But hidden in these mountains was a secret weapon, something that would turn certain Ottoman victory into historical impossibility. When 80,000 Ottoman boots began pounding toward Albania in the summer of 1457, Skanderbeg did something so strange that the Ottomans thought it was weakness. He made his army disappear. The Ottoman force composition showed supreme confidence. 40,000 infantry battle-hardened in conquests, stretching across 3 continents. 20,000 cavalry, including elite Sipahi horsemen, trained to charge like thunder. And 20,000 engineers, handlers, cooks, and camp followers. This was not a raiding party. This was a steamroller designed to crush a nation. Commanding them were Isa Bey, a veteran desperate for revenge after previous defeats, and Hamza, the nephew who believed he finally had his uncle cornered. But they didn't know that Skanderbeg was preparing the most genius ambush of his lifetime. Skanderbeg's 8,000 warriors weren't simply soldiers, they were mountain-born survivors. Men raised where the air is thin, the paths unforgiving, and the forests whisper like old spirits. They could vanish into terrain that looked empty to outsiders. They could move through darkness with the silence of snow falling on stone. The stage for the ambush was a long, narrow valley called Tumanishta. Steep walls, forested slopes, only one usable entrance. The perfect place for 80,000 men to trap themselves without realizing it. The Ottomans looked at the valley and saw safety, fresh water, protection on 3 sides, ample space for a massive camp. Hamza assured them the area was miles away from any Albanian stronghold. Exactly what he thought his uncle would avoid. But Skanderbeg had already marked this valley as a tomb. Then he pulled off the most brilliant vanishing act medieval Europe ever saw. He ordered his entire army to disappear. No skirmishes, no shadow attacks, nothing. For days, Ottoman scouts found empty villages, empty trails, empty towers. It was as if Albania had ceased to exist. Hamza confidently told Ottoman commanders, this was routine. My uncle is retreating, he insisted. He's preparing for a siege. But he had no idea that Skanderbeg was spreading rumors through shepherds and wandering merchants, whispering lies directly into Ottoman ears. Stories of sickness, stories of Albanian clans fighting each other, stories of Skanderbeg fleeing to Venice. While the Ottomans marched comfortably through abandoned lands, 8,000 Albanian warriors were slipping like ghosts through mountain paths only locals knew, traveling at night, using caves by day, no fires, no metal glints, nothing. Skanderbeg divided his forces into 3 units and positioned them around the valley like wolves circling prey. They dug hidden pits, cached extra weapons, and gathered piles of dry wood for something far more terrifying than the Ottomans could imagine. On September 1st, the Ottoman army marched straight into the valley, exactly where Skanderbeg wanted them. That night, as their tens of thousands of cooking fires flickered, as horses were groomed, as soldiers laughed and shared meals, 80,000 men unknowingly slept inside a perfect trap. Meanwhile, from the shadows of the surrounding mountains, 8,000 pairs of silent eyes watched. Darkness fell. 3 Albanian columns crept into their final positions, crawling through thickets, sliding down ravines, traveling paths where one misstep meant death. Weapons wrapped in cloth, orders given only by hand signals. By 3 a.m. they were in place. Now they waited. Dawn broke with a gentle mountain mist. Ottoman soldiers woke lazily, stretched, ate bread and stew, prayed, and prepared for a routine day's march. Little did they know the next 6 hours would enter the annals of impossible warfare. At 6 a.m., Skanderbeg raised his war horn and unleashed hell. The horn blast echoed so violently off the mountains that it sounded like it came from everywhere. Ottoman soldiers froze mid-step, and before they could react, arrows rained from 3 directions at once. The sky darkened, horses reared, men collapsed before they could lift shields. But the arrows were only the opening note. Albanian warriors let loose a scream that seemed inhuman, wild, echoing, multiplied by the valley walls until it sounded like thousands more warriors than Skanderbeg actually had. The psychological shock hit harder than steel. This wasn't a skirmish. This was annihilation. Hamza instantly knew he had made a fatal miscalculation. His uncle wasn't using hit-and-run tactics. He wasn't trying to escape. He intended to destroy the entire Ottoman army. Ottoman discipline tried to resist the panic. Janissaries snapped into formation, shields braced, cavalry officers rallied their riders. For a moment, a brief, flickering moment, it seemed like they might stabilize the chaos. Then Skanderbeg charged. Riding at the head of his cavalry, he hammered into the Ottoman left flank with the force of a battering ram. a second Albanian column crashed from the right. Infantry poured down the slopes like an avalanche of steel. But the killing hadn't even truly begun. The valley became a nightmare. Soldiers ran into tent ropes. Horses crashed into cooking pits. Units became tangled, stuck, crushed against each other. Ottoman commands in Turkish and Arabic collided with each other. The army was too big, too cramped, too confused to form proper lines. Then Skanderbeg unleashed his masterpiece. 3 blasts of his horn, Albanian warriors lit pre-hidden torches and set fire to the dry brush and abandoned Ottoman wagons. Smoke billowed down into the valley like a suffocating cloud. Within minutes, Ottoman soldiers were choking, blinded, swinging at shadows. Friendly fire exploded. Men stabbed comrades they mistook for Albanian attackers. Officers screamed for order, but no one could see or hear them through the chaos. Even the elite Ottoman guard attempted a breakout, riding blindly toward the valley mouth, only to plunge directly into trenches and wooden stakes Skanderbeg's men had planted the night before. Horses fell screaming. Riders were thrown onto spears. The breakout turned into slaughter. Bodies piled so high they formed barriers. Wounded men screamed beneath the dead. The ground turned into mud mixed with blood. In 3 hours, 15,000 Ottomans were dead, and Skanderbeg wasn't finished. He led another charge, smashing what remained of Ottoman resistance. At the valley mouth, fleeing soldiers crushed each other trying to escape, only to meet Albanian blades. By noon, Isabey was dead, killed either by a lance or trampled by his own panicked riders. Hamza surrendered, surrounded by corpses, realizing that betraying blood came with a bitter price. When the smoke cleared, the numbers stunned the world. Skanderbeg's 8,000 had killed 30,000 and captured 15,000, more prisoners than the size of their entire army. It was mathematically impossible, yet it happened. Ottoman survivors, maybe 20,000, ran across the Balkans telling tales of ghosts in the smoke. Some swore Skanderbeg's men were demons. Others believed he commanded the mountains themselves. Fear spread faster than the news. Europe erupted in celebration. Bells rang in Venice and Rome. The Pope declared days of thanksgiving. Poets called Skanderbeg Europe's shield. And military academies would forever study what happened that day. Terrain as a weapon, smoke as a force multiplier, acoustics as psychological warfare, and one man turning a death sentence into a masterpiece. But the twist comes at the end. Skanderbeg met his nephew Hamza face to face. Blood against blood. Betrayal standing before forgiveness. Chroniclers recorded his words, "You chose empire over family. Now see what empire has given you." But instead of killing him, Skanderbeg imprisoned him, not out of mercy, but because he knew a living traitor was more valuable than a dead one. And that is the quiet truth beneath the thunder of battle. Even when empires clash, it is family, betrayal, loyalty, and forgiveness that carry the deepest wounds. 8,000 men showed the world that numbers aren't destiny, that courage can break empires, that preparation and terrain can rewrite fate itself, and that sometimes a single morning in a forgotten valley can remind the world that no empire, not even one as mighty as the Ottomans, is invincible. And that is how 8,000 Albanian warriors obliterated 80,000 Ottomans in 6 unbelievable hours.